Would invasion of Rafah, which you have urged him not to do, would that be a red line?
It is a red line.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is rejecting President Biden's criticism after Biden this weekend claimed that Netanyahu's policies are hurting Israel.
It's contrary to what Israel stands for, and I think it's a big mistake.
Everyone in the media has been insisting that President Joe Biden has firmly declared what his red line for Israel is. But did he? Did he really? And how many times does Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu need to slap Biden around publicly for the president of the United States to understand that maybe he needs to change course because he is embarrassing himself and this country by having a foreign leader slap him down repeatedly? Now, we'll get to all of that in just 1 minute, but first, some critical information on what's currently transpiring in Rafah, which is at the center of this Biden-Netanyahu disagreement. So more than 1 million displaced Palestinians are currently sheltering in Rafah, that is near the border with Egypt, and it's been, I'm just gonna say, relatively safe compared to every other part of the Gaza Strip, because every other part of the Gaza Strip has been suffering from aerial bombardment, airstrikes, Israeli shelling, you get the picture. About 1.4 million Palestinians, more than half of Gaza's population, have crowded into houses, tents, and streets in Rafah to escape the brunt of the fighting elsewhere in the Strip. European leaders and top UN officials have joined the White House in warning Israel against launching a ground invasion of the city, fearing a humanitarian nightmare. Now, when you consider how many people have already died in Gaza, more than 30,000 at this point, you can understand how an even more densely populated region of the Gaza Strip dealing with an IDF ground invasion would lead to a massive humanitarian crisis and very likely an acceleration of civilian deaths. Now, Israel has already carried out some airstrikes in Rafah. That happened over the weekend. Israel struck one of the largest residential towers in Rafah on Saturday. The 12-floor building located 500 meters from the border with Egypt was damaged in the strike. Dozens of families were made homeless, though shockingly, and I'm not entirely sure I believe this, no casualties were reported according to residents. Now, with that in mind, one of the tower's 300 residents told Reuters that Israel did give them a 30-minute warning to flee the building at night, which likely led to a situation where you don't have casualties as a result of that airstrike. But the strike is likely a sign of what's to come. So with that in mind, did Biden really state that a ground invasion in Rafah by the IDF is his red line? Let's watch and you decide for yourselves.
What is your red line with Prime Minister Netanyahu? Do you have a red line? For instance, would invasion of Rafah, which you have urged him not to do, would that be a red line?
It is a red line, but I'm never going to leave Israel. The defense of Israel is still critical, so there's no red line. I'm going to cut off all weapons so they don't have the Iron Dome to protect them. They don't have, but there's red lines that if he crosses, and you cannot have 30,000 more Palestinians dead as a consequence of going after. There's other ways to deal with the trauma caused by Hamas. And it's like look, the first time I went over, I sat with them and I sat with a work cabinet. I said, look, don't make the mistake America made.
I don't know, that did not sound like a red line to me, but maybe I'm having some comprehension issues. Cenk, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, that's because he wanted to have his cake and eat it too. And of course, the mainstream press is very, very happy to let him do that. So he said, John Capehart asked, hey, is invading Rafah basically a ground invasion of Rafah your red line? And he said yes, but then he quickly said, now it's not a red line in terms of giving them unlimited weapons, etc. So it's not a red line then.
They think we're stupid, right?
Right, so like, and then he said, a second time that something else was a red line, he said they cannot kill another 30,000 Palestinians. That's a red line. And then he went about the consequences, because there is no consequences because it's not a red line. So first of all, which one is it? Ground invasion of Rafah or an extra 30,000 Palestinians dead? Because those are two very different red lines. And secondly, if that's true, what are the consequences of a red line? It's not a red line if there are no consequences. And he just told you right there, and he throughout the rest of the interview, he did not clarify at all that there would ever be a consequence to Israel. So it's just loose talk. It's totally BS. That is why you'll see Netanyahu slaps him down and says, "Who the hell do you think you are? Get back in line." And a foreign leader that's taking billions of dollars from us can afford to do that because Biden is not drawing the line with him.
That's exactly right. In fact, why don't we hear more from Netanyahu's response?
Despite that warning from President Biden of not crossing that red line, we have Prime Minister Netanyahu saying that that offensive in Rafah will in fact go ahead, saying that his red line is October 7th and making sure that that doesn't happen again. And he said that an IDF incursion into Rafah to root out Hamas there could take 2 months, perhaps even less than 2 months, and that there would be no pause in the fighting until there is some kind of a deal made to bring the hostages home. He also left open the possibility of expanding military operations into southern Lebanon.
We're going to get back to expanding military operations to southern Lebanon in just a moment, because keep in mind, Netanyahu responded to Biden's alleged red line by saying, no, I'm gonna spread this war out, make it broader. I'm gonna go to war with another country. We'll get to that in a moment. But first, Cenk, Netanyahu says that his red line was October 7th, when Hamas carried out atrocities in his country, which he failed to protect his citizens from. And Hamas is partly propped up and funded by who?
Well, it was by Netanyahu.
Oh, that's right. Netanyahu funded and propped up Hamas.
And
so
he knew the attack was coming and he didn't do anything about it. So, I mean, if that's your red line, it looks like your own red line says you should get the hell out of office, because it was you who crossed your own red line. It's a great point by Anna. You conditioned military aid and show us that it was a real red line. We're thrilled to come back out here and go, oh, finally, Biden's doing the right thing. We're super happy to report it, etc. Why wouldn't we report it? So now let me tell you, in fact, let me report one other wrinkle to this that is relevant, which is that Hamas is doing something really stupid and counterproductive, and I don't know why they're doing it, and it is partly responsible, and I could argue even that it's largely responsible for not having the ceasefire by Ramadan. It looks like Israel, America, and the Arab countries made a deal to get to the ceasefire before Ramadan, but Hamas won't turn over the names of the hostages they have.
I don't think they have it.
Yeah, they might not.
I don't think that they have kept track of all the hostages. I think what's very likely to have happened is that some of them have died, some of them are alive, but maybe have escaped Hamas's captivity, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's the reason why they're refusing to give a list of the hostages, those alive and those who have died.
Yeah, so plenty of blame to go around for sure. And Hamas, if they don't have the names, they should just goddamn it say it.
Right. Get
to the ceasefire already. Now, it's not, that deal is definitely not good enough, because Netanyahu says, whether it's today or 2 months from now, I'm gonna level Rafah anyway. So it's like, it is just a ceasefire. It is not a peace deal. But my hope is that they could use the time in Ramadan to turn it into an actual peace deal. I know that it's very, very, very optimistic to think that that could happen, but at least it would be a shot, and it would at least stop the bombing temporarily, right? And get the hostages back. So Hamas should get off their ass, and I know us yelling at them has no effect, right? But you should understand that they are definitely significantly responsible for not having the ceasefire today, okay? In the past it was mainly Israel, but today it's mainly Hamas. Okay, now back to Biden though. He says, my red line is going into Rafah. Netanyahu says, oh yeah, what are you gonna do about it? I'm crossing your red line and I'm telling the entire world that I'm crossing it. I'm gonna go into Rafah and I'm gonna do everything you told me not to do. Now shut up and give me $14 billion extra. And give me hundreds of times where you funnel weapons to me without even telling Congress, another story we covered last week. Give me $250 million more without telling Congress, as we told you about a month ago, right? You will do as you're goddamn told, Joe Biden, and there's no damn red line for me. And Biden is gonna go, yes sir, okay sir, but maybe he won't. Maybe he'll condition the aid, and then I'd be thrilled to report it to you. But if history is any guide, Joe Biden is not in charge. Netanyahu's in charge of this relationship. He's acting like it. You're seeing it with your own eyes. So either Biden's gonna put up, or he should shut up and just admit what he's really doing, which is letting Israel do any war crime they like, as long as he thinks the money keeps flowing to him through campaign contributions.
So I want to go to two other things. Before we get to the last video, I wanted to give you the other disconnect between Biden and Netanyahu, because they appear to have quite a few disagreements, but Biden hasn't used any sticks so far, if you will, only carrots. So the Biden administration's vision for a long-term peace deal between Israel and Palestinians includes a firm timeline for the establishment of a Palestinian state, setting up another potential standoff with Israel's leader. And let me be clear, there has not been a standoff at all.
There's been none.
Like, the framing by the press drives me crazy. There has been zero standoff, okay? None of that. Biden has issued some very weak statements without any real action behind them. And every time Biden does, Netanyahu stands up and slaps him down, embarrasses the American people and the American government by doing so, and then we move on with our lives. And I would venture to say this is gonna be another example. Netanyahu has been very clear in not wanting a two-state solution. In fact, he said, quote, "We don't want to see a Palestinian state," Netanyahu told Axel Springer, that's a publication in Germany, repeating his long-standing position that he said represents the consensus within Israel. Cenk.
Yeah, so there's a reason why mainstream media keeps telling you a false image of this conflict that doesn't exist, and how Biden's standing up to Netanyahu when he has literally done nothing to stand up to Netanyahu other than BS verbiage. So why does the media go along with it? Because they are in the same general groupthink as mainstream establishment Democrats. So what they want to do is show you an image of Joe Biden who's struggling here because he loves Israel so much and he's such a great guy for being such a good friend and ally to Israel. But God, he is so empathetic to the Palestinians and his heart breaks for them. So he's telling Netanyahu to cut out the malarkey. It's all theater. He's done zero. It is a fact. You could look it up anywhere you like. Look and read the articles and see if he has taken one step to check Israel in terms of funding, access, allyship, anything at all. He has done absolutely, positively nothing but let Netanyahu set our foreign policy for us. There is no disagreement between them. It's all a game to make it seem like Biden's a nice guy and that Arab and Muslim Americans should vote for him anyway.